Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be looking at VPNs and online privacy.
Okay.
Willie Crawford,
Mm-hmm.
he was telling me about his recent travels and
Yeah.
all the trouble he had accessing certain websites.
Right.
And it turns out that a VPN was kind of the answer for him.
Yeah.
But in doing a little bit of research, he found out that there's a lot more to these services than meets the eye.
For sure.
I bet you've wondered about this too. Are VPNs really the privacy solution they're always advertised to be?
That's a really good question. And the answer is a little bit nuanced.
Okay.
So a VPN or virtual private network
Okay.
basically creates an encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet.
Uh-huh.
And that tunnel masks your IP address. So it makes it look like all your online activity is coming from the VPN server's location.
So it's like a digital cloak.
Pretty much, yeah.
So if it's hiding my location, does that mean my internet provider can't see what I'm doing?
It can limit what they see, for sure.
Okay.
Like, your ISP won't be able to see the specific websites that you're visiting
Okay.
or the data that you're sending and receiving,
Okay.
but they can still see that you are connected to a VPN server.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, seeing a car go into a tunnel. Car went in,
Right.
but you don't know where it went once it's inside.
Oh, okay. So it adds a layer of privacy even if it's not totally invisible.
Exactly.
Okay. What about security, especially on public Wi-Fi?
Yeah, that's where VPNs can really be helpful.
Okay.
Because you've probably heard, people warn you about using public Wi-Fi because hackers can potentially intercept your data.
Right.
So that VPN encryption adds a really important extra layer of security there.
Okay.
And it makes it a lot harder for anybody on that network to snoop on what you're doing.
So is it better than the HTTPS thing?
HTTPS,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's not really an either.
Okay.
HTTPS is a really great security protocol that encrypts your connection to a website.
Okay.
So it's protecting your data in transit. But the VPN adds another layer of encryption on top of that.
Yeah.
And it can be really helpful, especially on networks that you don't trust completely.
Right.
Or when you're using websites or apps that don't have HTTPS enabled.
So it's like double locking your door.
Yeah.
Even if your neighborhood is safe.
Exactly.
What about all those ads promising access to streaming services? Can a VPN really unlock that stuff?
They can.
Okay.
And it's one of the most common reasons why people use VPNs.
Oh, okay.
So let's say you're traveling and you want to watch your favorite show on a streaming platform that's blocked in that region.
Right.
If your VPN has a server in a country where that platform is available, then it can make it seem like you're browsing from there and give you access.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So it sounds like VPNs have a lot of benefits, but I'm also curious about the potential downsides. I've heard that they aren't a perfect solution. Is that true?
Yeah, there are definitely limitations to be aware of.
Okay.
For example, VPNs mask your IP address, but websites and advertisers still have other really clever ways to track you online.
Like what?
One is called fingerprinting.
Fingerprinting.
Yeah.
Is that like spy stuff?
Kind of. It's definitely sophisticated. Fingerprinting is basically when websites gather information about your device, your browser operating system,
Oh, wow.
even your browsing habits.
Wow.
And it creates this unique fingerprint that they can use to track you across different websites, even if you are using a VPN.
So even with a masked IP address, I'm not invisible online.
Not completely, no.
What can I do about that?
There are things you can do to minimize your digital fingerprint,
Okay.
and we'll get into those a little bit later.
Okay.
But first, there are some other important things to know about VPNs themselves.
So like what?
Well, one thing to be aware of is that not all VPNs are created equal.
Okay.
Some, especially free VPNs, might be engaging in practices that compromise your privacy.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
But isn't the whole point of a VPN to improve privacy?
That's the irony. You see, a lot of VPN providers genuinely do want to protect user data,
Yeah.
but others operate on a less transparent business model.
Okay.
And remember, if you're not paying for the product, you often become the product.
Right.
And free VPNs might collect and sell your browsing data.
Oh, wow.
Or even inject ads into your browsing experience.
Oh, that's unsettling.
Yeah.
So it sounds like choosing a VPN is kind of a minefield. How do I know who to trust?
That is a crucial question, and it's something we're going to explore in a lot of detail. But one of the biggest red flags is a lack of transparency about their data collection practices.
Okay.
Always read the privacy policy really carefully.
Oh.
And if a VPN provider is vague or evasive about what data they collect and how they use it, that's a huge red flag.
Okay, so read the fine print and be wary of free VPNs.
Yes.
What else?
Well, you've actually just stumbled on another really important aspect of the VPN landscape:
Yes.
ownership. So it might surprise you to learn that just a few corporations own a lot of the most popular VPNs,
Really?
and they also own some of the websites that review them.
Oh, so the same company that owns the VPN might also own the website that's praising it.
Exactly.
That seems like a conflict of interest.
It definitely raises some questions about how reliable those reviews are.
Yeah.
And this is something to keep in mind as we really start to delve deeper into the world of VPNs
Okay.
and how to choose one that aligns with your privacy goals.
This is getting interesting. It sounds like choosing a VPN isn't as easy as just downloading the first one I see.
You got it.
So before we start talking about how to pick a trustworthy VPN, let's talk about some of the dangers of the free VPNs.
Okay. Free VPNs, they can be tempting
Oh, yeah.
because everybody loves free stuff.
Right.
But when it comes to online privacy, sometimes free comes with hidden costs.
So you're saying there's no such thing as a free lunch?
Pretty much. Yeah, think about it. Running a VPN service requires infrastructure, bandwidth, personnel.
Right.
All of that costs money. So if a company's not making money through subscriptions, they got to find other ways to make money.
Okay.
And a lot of times that means turning to practices that kind of go against that whole idea of privacy.
So what kind of shady things are they doing?
One common one is data collection and selling.
Okay.
So they might track your browsing history,
Okay.
the apps that you use, even your location data.
Wow.
Package it all up and sell it to advertisers or other third parties.
It's like they're using the VPN as a front to collect even more data on us.
Yeah, it's kind of like a bait and switch.
Yeah.
Promising privacy, but secretly profiting from your information.
Okay.
And it can get even worse.
Worse.
Yeah. Some free VPNs have been found to inject ads into the websites you visit,
What?
or even replace legitimate ads with their own.
So not only are they collecting my data, but they're messing with my browsing experience.
Yeah, it's all about revenue for them.
Okay.
Ethical considerations often take a backseat.
Yeah.
But maybe the most alarming thing is that some free VPNs have been found to have serious security vulnerabilities.
Really?
Yeah, things like outdated software, weak encryption protocols, even malware embedded in their apps.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, all of these things can put your data at risk.
So instead of protecting me, it's actually making me more vulnerable.
It's a real possibility, and a lot of people don't think about that.
Yeah, you think you're getting a good deal.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, you've convinced me to stay away from free VPNs.
Good.
But how do I choose a paid VPN that's actually trustworthy?
That's a great question. It can definitely feel overwhelming. There's so many options out there.
There are.
But don't worry, we're going to break it down for you. The first step is to look for a VPN provider with a really solid reputation.
How can I gauge a VPN's reputation?
So you can look at things like online reviews and industry awards, yeah. But it's really important to dig a little deeper. So start by researching the company's history and track record.
Okay.
How long have they been in business? Have they had any major security breaches or privacy scandals in the past?
So like do a little background check.
Exactly. Look for transparency.
Okay.
A really reputable VPN provider should be upfront about their data collection practices. Their privacy policy should be really clear, concise, easy to understand.
Right.
And if a VPN is using vague language or trying to hide their policies and like a bunch of legal jargon, that's a red flag.
So transparency is key.
Absolutely.
What about features? Are there certain things I should look for?
Yeah, definitely. Server location is a big one.
Okay.
Because a VPN that has a wide network of servers in a lot of different countries gives you more options for accessing geo-restricted content.
Okay.
And it also helps to make sure that you have faster speeds.
I would think that speed is important.
Very important, yeah.
Especially if you're streaming movies or downloading large files.
Absolutely. So look for VPNs that offer unlimited bandwidth.
Okay.
And have servers that are optimized for speed.
Okay.
And speaking of security, make sure that they offer a kill switch.
A kill switch. What does that do?
That's a really important safety net.
Okay.
Because it automatically cuts off your internet connection if the VPN connection drops.
Oh, okay.
So this prevents your real IP address and your location from being exposed if there's like an interruption in that VPN tunnel.
That sounds important.
Very.
Are there any other features that I should be thinking about?
Yeah, some VPNs offer additional features like ad blockers and malware protection, even something called multi-hop connections, which route your traffic through multiple servers for like extra anonymity.
So it's a whole bunch of tools all in one.
It can be. It's worth thinking about which features really meet your needs.
Right.
And align with your threat model.
That's right. You mentioned threat models earlier.
I did.
Can you remind me what those are and why they matter?
Yeah, a threat model is basically a personalized assessment of your own privacy and security risks.
Okay.
So it's about really identifying what information you want to protect, who you want to protect it from, and your potential vulnerabilities.
So before I even look at VPNs, I should think about what my privacy concerns are.
Exactly.
And what I'm actually trying to achieve.
Yes. And your threat model will really help you make those choices about selecting a VPN.
Okay.
And even implementing other practices that enhance your privacy.
That makes sense. So let's say someone like Willie Crawford, who travels all the time and wants to access websites that might be blocked in certain countries.
Right.
What would his threat model look like?
So in Willie's case, his threat model would likely include things like, he wants to access geo-restricted content.
Okay.
He wants to protect his data on those public Wi-Fi networks.
Right.
And potentially even bypass censorship
Right.
if he's traveling to a country with those strict internet controls. So he would probably prioritize a VPN that has a large server network, strong encryption, and maybe even some obfuscation features to make his VPN traffic harder to detect.
So his choices are really guided by his specific needs and the level of risk that he's comfortable with.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about threat models and choosing a reputable VPN.
Yes.
But what if I'm still not comfortable relying just on a VPN for my online privacy?
Yeah.
What other options do I have?
Totally. VPNs are just one piece of the online privacy puzzle.
Okay.
There's a bunch of other tools and strategies that you can use to make your online experience safer and more private.
Like what?
Well, one that's becoming really popular is called DNS over HTTPS.
DNS over HTTPS.
Yeah, or DOH for short.
DOH, okay.
So this is a protocol
Okay.
that encrypts your DNS queries.
I have no idea what that means.
Okay, so DNS queries are basically requests that your computer sends out to translate website names into IP addresses. So it's like asking for directions.
Got it.
And by encrypting those queries, you prevent your ISP from seeing which websites you're trying to visit.
So it's like shielding my browsing history even further.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of modern browsers have DOH enabled by default.
Oh, okay.
But you can also use third-party DOH providers like Cloudflare or Google.
That's good to know. What about Tor?
Ah, Tor. The onion router.
Yeah, I've heard that's like the ultimate for being anonymous online.
Yeah. It's definitely a very powerful tool for anonymity.
Okay.
So what Tor does is it bounces your internet traffic through this network of relays all over the world.
Wow.
And this makes it really hard to trace your activity back to you.
So it's like the ultimate incognito mode.
You could say that.
Okay.
But Tor does have a couple drawbacks.
Like what?
Well, all those layers of encryption and routing, it can make your connections slower.
Okay, so it's a trade-off.
Yep.
Anonymity for speed.
Pretty much.
Are there any other alternatives?
There's another really important strategy called hardening your browser.
Hardening your browser.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It sounds tough, right?
Yeah.
It's basically about tweaking your browser settings.
Okay.
And using some privacy-focused extensions to minimize the amount of tracking and data collection that happens.
Okay.
So this might include things like disabling cookies, blocking third-party scripts, and using privacy-focused search engines like DuckDuckGo.
So you're building a fortress around your browser.
Yeah.
And this is a good way to add to the VPN and the other tools that we're using.
Exactly.
This is really helpful. I feel like I have a lot more control over my online privacy than I thought I did.
That's great. And that's really the whole point. We want to help you feel empowered.
Okay.
Because online privacy isn't about being paranoid or disconnecting from the internet.
Right.
It's about making informed choices, understanding the tools that are available to you, and taking proactive steps to protect your data and your digital footprint.
Okay. I feel like we've just scratched the surface here.
Yeah.
But I'm already feeling a lot more informed
Good.
about the steps that I can take to protect myself.
That's great. But before we finish up, I think we should take a look at the bigger picture here.
Okay.
Why does online privacy even matter?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Like, what are the consequences if we lose it?
It's easy to get lost in the technical stuff.
Right, yeah.
But we shouldn't forget what's really at stake here.
Exactly. And we're not just talking about, avoiding annoying ads
Right.
or preventing companies from knowing what kind of cereal you like.
Right.
It's really about protecting our freedom and autonomy
Hmm.
and even our safety in a world that is becoming more and more data-driven.
So what's the worst that could happen?
Right?
What happens if we just let companies and governments collect all this data on us?
Well, in a world without privacy, our online activities could be used to manipulate us, to limit our choices, and even to punish us for expressing opinions that maybe somebody doesn't like.
Yeah.
Imagine a future where your access to things like healthcare,
Oh, wow.
employment, or even social services is decided by algorithms
Right.
that analyze everything you do online.
That sounds terrifying, like something out of a dystopian movie.
Right.
But is that realistic?
It's not as far-fetched as you might think. We're already seeing examples of this in some countries.
Really?
Where they have something called social credit systems.
Oh, yeah.
That are used to monitor and control people's behavior based on massive amounts of data.
That's scary. So the fight for online privacy isn't just about protecting our data.
Right.
It's about protecting our fundamental rights.
Absolutely. It's about making sure that technology serves humanity and not the other way around.
Right.
And that's why it's so important to be an advocate for a more privacy-respecting internet.
Okay, so how can we do that? It can feel overwhelming.
For sure.
To go up against these tech giants and governments.
Yeah, it feels like David and Goliath, right?
Right.
But remember, David won.
He did.
And there are a lot of Davids out there fighting for a more just and equitable digital world.
So where do we start?
One of the most powerful things you can do is educate yourself and other people about online privacy.
Okay.
Talk to your friends and family, colleagues, share articles, videos, podcasts like this one.
Right.
Help spread the word about why data protection is so important.
So we need to be privacy evangelists.
Exactly.
I like that. What else?
Support those organizations that are fighting for our digital rights.
Okay.
Donate to groups like the Electronic Frontier Foundation, the ACLU, write to your elected officials.
That's a great idea. We can use our voices and our votes.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else we can do on a more personal level?
Yeah, definitely. Remember, every choice you make online has an impact.
Okay.
So support companies that are aligned with your values, that prioritize privacy. Choose privacy-focused search engines, email providers, browsers.
Okay. Vote with your wallet. Show companies that you're willing to pay for things that respect your data.
So we need to be mindful and informed. No more just clicking accept on every cookie banner.
Exactly. It's about taking back our power in this digital age and building a future where technology helps us and doesn't try to control us.
I love that.
Good.
This has been a real eye-opener for me. We've talked about so much.
Yeah, we have.
From the details of VPNs to the larger issue of data collection and even digital rights.
It's been great chatting with you about all this.
Yeah, this has been a great conversation.
Hopefully our listeners feel empowered to take action and join the movement for a more privacy-respecting internet.
Thank you for all your expertise and insights today.
You're welcome.
And to all of our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into VPNs and online privacy. Hopefully you learned some new stuff today, and you'll continue exploring these really important issues. Remember, the future of online privacy is up to all of us. Well said. Until next time, stay informed, stay vigilant, and stay private.